So I bought the cheapest running R32 Skyline in New South Wales, and I think in the country. And this is it. The cheapest R32 Skyline in the country. Now there's quite a bit wrong with it, so let me show you everything. Let's start with the outside first though. So as far as paint goes, it's actually not bad. It has been resprayed, so we know that. It's not great. It'll definitely need another respray, but it was the cheapest one in the country, so I can't be too precious about it. A couple of little dings like this one here are just pretty obvious around the whole car, so it'll definitely need some bodywork and some paint. So first of all, these wheels are genuine VSXXs in 17-inch. From what I've read, they don't actually make 17s anymore, so hopefully I'll be able to get a decent price for when I sell these. It's just not the type of fitment I want on this car. As you can see, it's quite aggressive at the rear, not as aggressive as the Evo was, but again, I don't want to go that aggressive on this car. I've got a pretty good plan for this. First thing that needs to go for that to happen is the wheels, and we'll replace it with something that's kind of stockish looking and not as aggressive, so we can focus on something else. In standard R32 Skyline fashion, all the seals are literally screwed. Like the rubber has come off, and now you just see kind of the aluminium metal finish. So these will all need to be replaced, as well as these top seals and the rear quarter window seals. Now I know for a fact that you can't just buy the rear quarter window seals, you have to buy the whole window, and they're I think about $650 to $700 a side, so that's gonna have to happen. Apart from that, I need a new front window seal, I need some bolts to go in the front part here, and I'll need definitely a new rear window seal with this plastic bit here, which is only held in by like 2 or 3 screws out of the 6 or 7 it needs. Now it does have some different side skirts on it. They're not great, but they look better than, I guess, stock. Again, you can see just how bad the paint is with all this bubbling along here. So these will need to come off and be replaced. But I kind of expect almost all the body panels that are exterior or aftermarket to be replaced on this car anyway. Like it does have a kind of a mock-up GTR front bar on it, where that's kind of all one bar instead of it being a bar and a lip. Again, the fitment on this isn't great, as you can see kind of this gap all the way along the bottom of the headlight, so that'll need to be replaced. The headlights actually aren't that bad of condition, so that's good, but this bar is definitely going to need to be changed. The bonnet's fitment isn't great, so I'm not sure where they got this bonnet from, whether this was the one with the car, but it probably wasn't, so that'll all need to be replaced too. So this next part I found out when I was inspecting the car for the first time, and I just kind of laughed. There's not much else you can do in this situation when you find this out. Let me show you. So I was assuming the sunroof didn't work. He said it didn't work, so I kind of, obviously there's no reason for me to not believe him. But then when I looked at the car, you can notice the sunroof's been urethaned in the whole way. So not only is the seal still there, so all this part, they've urethaned it into the actual hole. So if I want to get this to work, I'm gonna have to cut all the urethane out and then probably replace this seal. I know the motor's still there because I got the headlining replaced, so I know that's all there. But this is definitely gonna have to get some work done to it. Now just some more hits with the paint. This is on a GTR style wing. I'm assuming it's kind of replica because they didn't spend proper money on this car before, so they put a genuine wing on it. So yeah, you can see the paint fade or the paint peeling right there. Now I know the glass on the rear windscreen is shocking, like with the tint. You can see it's all here. That one was kind of my fault. So the car had a rear wiper motor, but it didn't have the actual wiper on the motor, and I didn't really like the look of it. So what I did is bought one of these rear wiper delete Bungs. And as I was installing it at misfire, I over tightened it and it shattered the whole rear windscreen and removed it from the car. So that was 100% my fault. Kind of funny, you kind of gotta laugh, I guess. I'll put some photos up now so you can see that. So then what we had to do is, because like O'Brien and stuff don't stock the glass normally, we had to go to a wreckers who had one bit of glass left, and we had to reuse the seals that was originally in the car. So that's kind of why the seals need to be done properly, but all the windows will have to come out when we respray the car anyway, so I'm not too concerned about that. But it's just the tint that's a little annoying. So for right now, I either get it steamed so it comes off, or I just wait out until I pull the window out and respray the car. So another pretty concerning factor is that it's got a fuel leak, but not near the engine bay. right near the fuel filler neck. So that's gonna have to be addressed pretty quickly. So it seems to only leak when it's got more than half a tank. So that leads us to believe that maybe there's just a bit of rust because the GTS-T tanks are metal. So if that is the case, it might genuinely just be easier for me to put a GTR tank in because it's plastic. And then I think from that, I just have to replace the hat for the hanger of the fuel pumps, and that should all still work. I'm still very unsure. I need to do a whole bunch more research on that. But yeah, it's pretty bad, and you can tell that by the permanent residence of cardboard under the fuel tank. Now the car is still an RB20, so what that means is straight away we're going to put an RB25 in it, or some combination of a 25 in it. So I'm not too concerned really with how all this looks, because it is going to be changed ASAP. When it does go into paint, I plan to have the engine out so we can do a full respray, open door, engine bay, everything. And then hopefully we'll do a wire tuck and make it all look really, really neat. But for right now, it's pretty gross. Now it is running a Kinagawa turbo with bigger injectors. He couldn't tell me what size the injectors were, so I'm just going to take his word for it. So there's a lot really unanswered about this car, which is why I'm not too keen on keeping this motor in the car, because I'm not sure where I'm starting. And a lot of it's going to need to be replaced anyway, so we might as well just replace the whole motor. Now in the car it came with some really gross old bride seats on like some S13 rails, so I replaced them with the standard OEM seats front and rear, and that just made it look a lot nicer. It was a lot more comfortable to drive, and I enjoyed it way more. But I mean, there are some downsides to the OEM seats. I mean, the fact that my head hits the roof is a pretty big one, so I will need to get aftermarket seats sooner rather than later with some like lowered rails or something, and that should help heaps. But apart from that, there's more in the interior we need to get to. Now the first thing I noticed when I took this car for a drive was the short shifter. It's got to be just either a dodgy short shift kit or I don't know, but there's an issue with it, and that is it's not how short the throw is, because the throw is quite short. It's the fact that I can leave it anywhere and it'll stay. It doesn't pop back out of gear by itself, which is real weird. Like, that's halfway between third and neutral. Like, it's just sitting there. I've got a new shifter and a new alloy base plate coming from Japan through Kudos Motorsports, so that'll replace all that. So that'll make that way better to drive with. So another thing he did is he screwed all these 4 Greddy or G-Ready replica gauges into the actual dash, which I'm not a fan of at all. I don't like that look. To me, it just looks really messy and not neat. So that'll have to be addressed sooner rather than later as well. That's not the only issue with things in the dash or things wrong with the dash, because it's like most R32s, they have a cracked dash. I'm surprised because I still have the bubble that usually sits over on that side, but these cracks are shocking. They go all the way back to where the aircon comes up to demist the front window. So that's going to have to be replaced as well. Now it's also running a TurboSmart boost controller / gauge thing. So it has 2 presets of boost on there. I think it's 7 and 12 PSI. It's always in the tour for me, obviously, because I don't drive it very often. I drive it maybe once a week if I'm lucky. So that'll be coming out anyway, especially when the new motor goes in. But also because I'm not sure how this was put in, whether it was done properly or not. So I really just don't want to run the risk. So the roof lining was shocking. It was actually dipping at the rear, so I got that all redone, just in black as well with the sunroof cover and the visors. So that's looking way, way, way better. Now I know the dash in the car is actually shocking, so that's why I bought this. So this is a second-hand R32 GTS-T dash, but as you can see, it is in way better condition than the one that's in the car. The only kind of scratches on it are that and that, but it does have the standard bubble here and the standard bubble here. But the plan is to eventually get this retrimmed or wrapped in something, and then it'll be good as new. I'll replace all these vents. I'm pretty sure I can still get them new, those vents, and then just that vent there too. So that should all be good. Now, as you can see, the 32 is pretty gross, and it definitely lives up to the cheapest running R32 Skyline in Australia, I guess. I have a pretty fair idea of what I want to do, but I'm still very, very unsure on a lot of things. So the plan for now is just to get it to a nice clean state and fix a lot of the issues that are wrong with it, and then we'll kind of reassess it from there. But I did take it for a drive the other day to record it so I could get some sound clips and stuff, so I'll play them now. Now, because of the ages of the car, we shouldn't be surprised if it doesn't start.